As I find the correct thing again. Hey everyone, to another episode of Spare from the Past. I'm still getting used to this whole new way I'm doing these intros because StreamYard decided they won't let me play videos now on a free plan. But but we're here. I decided to call it audible today in honor of Hulk Hogan's passing. I messaged Austin on what he thinks is his best pay-per-view match. He said WrestleMania 6, so that's why we're doing WrestleMania 6. And it's definitely a WrestleMania, that's for sure.
It was either this one or Savage the year before. Those are the two.
I'm not saying it's his best match per se. What I'm saying is, if you want to know what Hulk Hogan was all about,
it's this match
with Warrior or this match with Savage are two matches that I think epitomize Hulkamania.
But this is the one that people remember more when it comes to Hogan's matches.
Well,
and they don't talk about Savage as much as they do about this one.
And I've spoken to many wrestlers over the years, being a referee, for 15 years, that say they saw this match when they were a kid and made them want to be a professional wrestler.
Yeah, and so Edge, like people like Edge were in the crowd and whatnot, and stuff. So this is definitely the best match to remember him by.
Yeah.
But we've got Austin. Yeah, Austin, how's it going?
No, it's going good. Yeah, it's a rough week for a lot of wrestling fans. But yeah, in a good way, we can remember kind of the great days of Hogan and what he contributed to the business. We coincidentally had a SummerSlam '89 on Lonely Marks that we had already spun randomly as a SummerSlam, which had the tie-in with No Holds Barred and whatnot with Zeus.
Yeah, fun SummerSlam.
Yeah, and then we're talking about WrestleMania 6 tonight. So this is all like prime Hulkamania, so sort of the height of the career. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got Soda here. Soda, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. I've had my time to think about my thoughts about the man, and you know what? I love Hulk Hogan. I love the character, and I always will. So thank you for having me here to talk about him.
And last but not least, we got Richie. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, fashionably late as always, but good to talk about it's good to talk about Hulk Hogan. The second time to talk about Hogan and more over this show, which was, it felt like it went on for like 100 years, but we'll get to
it. Yeah. I looked at the Wikipedia after we picked it and I went, I might have made a mistake. There's 15 matches on this show. That might have been a mistake.
But honestly, a lot of them, they're not long.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll get into that. And as I always like to do for these, just quickly, in the time when this WrestleMania happened, the number one movie worldwide was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The number one song was Black Velvet by Alana Miles, and the number one album was Forever Your Girl by Paula Abdul.
Okay.
But the WrestleMania opened with Robert Goulet singing "Oh Canada," which I didn't realize they had this. They actually did have WrestleMania outside of America.
This is the first of two.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other one had an iconic Hogan match. I was just watching earlier. Rock Hogan at the Sky Dome at WrestleMania 18. Another really good one.
Yeah, for the modern fans. Yeah.
It should have been the main event.
Yes.
Yeah. But then we had the first match, which was the model Rick Martel defeating Coco Beware. Look, the match was quick, but I thought that was okay. It's like it's going to be what this Mania is, a little bit okay matches, if you want to call some of these matches. But Also, what do you think of Rick Martel versus Hogan B.
I mean, looking back on the show, it might have been like the 4th or 5th best match on the show. Looking back,
Yeah.
But the 5 hours previously it took place on, but I mean, it was like a solid, fast paced, good guy, bad guy match. My only note was I don't remember Coco Beware being this agile. He's like throwing drop kicks all over the place and doing springboard, cross bodies. Like I don't remember him jumping around this much, but no, he had a lot of fire, and it got the crowd going, so it did its job. It was fine.
Yeah. And Soda, what did you think of Rick Martel?
Just out of curiosity, am I the only one whose fandom goes back actually to this point in time?
I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling when I was a kid. So
okay. Just out of curiosity, because for me, I love this pay-per-view, not just because it takes place in Canada, but I honestly think there's a lot of good matches in here. And this one was a pretty solid opener. Rick Martel doesn't get his flowers enough. I really do think he deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He really does. Like, he was a good, solid hand, and for people like me who grew up on that, it's a gimmick you remember, the model. It was just so outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Richie, what do you think of Rick Martel versus Coco B.
My takeaway from the match is sort of similar to Pearson's, where I think we like to clown on Coco Beware. Like, if anybody can, Coco Beware's it, anyone can get the Hall of Fame. But it's like, I always liked his gimmick. I think it's very tough for the gimmick. I do wonder, like, when see Frankie, I'm like, do they ever do like world tours? Like, how does he get it past? Like, how do you get past airport security with that thing? But you're seeing him do like springboard cross bodies and stuff. I'm like, oh shit, oh yeah, dude's got some athleticism. Oh yeah, he's no slouch. So yeah, it's probably one of the better Coco Beware matches I've seen actually. So yeah, and so in hindsight, that's probably one of the better one of the better matches on the show.
I'd forgotten to mention that Coco Beware is considered one of like the early pioneers of the high flying style in North America, oddly enough, from his days in Memphis and Mid-South and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. But then moving on, we had a backstage interview with both Demolition and the Colossal Collection. They both liked it.
Someone give Demolition Axe a throat lozenge or something.
Every promo in the 80s with Mean Gene, other than Jake the Snake Roberts, which we'll get to, was I'm gonna scream really loud into the camera. And I'm gonna scream into the camera.
Be aggressive.
Which was pretty much like the typical backstage segments. There was this segment in this Wrestlemania where it's like they just keep going backstage, like, dude, just like keep to the matches. But moving on, which leads into Demolition versus defeating the Colossal Collection, which was Andre the Giant and Haku. This match was what it was. Like, it was a kind of a slow match, and honestly, it was kind of obvious that Andre was barely able to move because he barely tagged in, if anything. And
he didn't tag in at all. He did not tag in this match.
He just did his stuff.
It was a handicap match.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And then after the match, Andre attacked Bobby Heenan, and that. But Austin, what do you think about Demolition versus Lost?
No, like you said, this was basically a handicap match. Haku was doing all the work here. He stayed in the match the entire time and fought off Demolition. Andre only did like the occasional headbutt or choke, and then he came in for like the last 2 minutes and got super kicked and got caught up in the ropes. Now, I'll give you this. The match itself was mostly kind of boring and very slow. Not much going on. But the last 2 minutes was pretty exciting when they, super kicked Andre. He got tied up in the ropes. They did the, finisher to Haku. The crowd popped huge. It was one of the biggest pops of the night when Demolition won the titles, when Andre was tied up. The crowd went crazy for that, so give him props for that. They appreciated the title change. And then the stuff after, the match was fun with Bobby slapping around Andre and Andre finally turning on him. Like, that was a big angle at the time. And finally kind of breaking away from the Heenan family. So, the final 2 minutes and the epilogue of the match were kind of the best things about it. The actual match, not so great.
So what are your thoughts about Demolition versus
So the actual match itself, for like I said, somebody who is a fan of that era, this is on one of the better ones with Andre the Giant in it. This was Andre the Giant's last match in the WWF. Period. He had one more match in New Japan after that, so it was their way of sending him off into the sunset. And for what it was pretty entertaining.
And Richie, what are your thoughts about Demolition versus the Colossal Connection?
Yeah, I feel like this match was just almost just a setup for this babyface turn. But yeah, it was like the most work he had to do was in that babyface turn, which I felt like because he was like, especially when he had to like, I think the whole idea, was him to sort of, ride off into that little, what was it, the platform thing that come out on? Yeah, he wanted to do it alone, but he had to, he had still have to get up onto a, like, pull him off and get him up to a step. So I think the most energy he exerted was probably during this babyface spot. But yeah, I mean the match what it was, but I do like, I remember the angle more than I remember the actual match. But yeah, I forgot that team actually had a name. I'm like, oh, the like I didn't realize, like, I was like, oh yeah, I can't even remember what was the name again? Like consequent,
Colossal Connection.
Colossal Connection. Yeah, I forgot the name.
That's a future trivia for wrestling trivia right there.
Oh yeah,
the remembrance of the Colossal Connection. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about like another.
There was a lot of connections in the 80s.
Yeah. You talk about another guy that probably deserves his flowers. Hakupo should be in the Hall of Fame at some point. I like it.
Yeah.
I like
100%.
Yeah.
But then next up we had Mean Gene interviewing Jimmy Hart with Earthquake.
This was funny. He won't stop jogging, or he just won't. He's just in place. He's just like bouncing around and play. I'm like, stay still. Sit down.
Which leads into the next match, which was Earthquake defeating Hercules, which was basically a squash match to show like how powerful Earthquake is. And I had to laugh where like the commentators were trying really hard to like build Earthquake up more. It was like, oh yeah, he just sent 28 men to the hospital. It's like, as they do, it's like the match itself was fine.
Yeah.
But yes, I've encountered Hercules a few times when I've been doing stuff in the past, and like he's always been one of those wrestlers there. But Austin, what are your thoughts about Earthquake versus Hercules?
Why is this on the show? Why is this on WrestleMania? Why is he not just having a match with Hercules on Superstars? I don't like squash matches on like WrestleMania. I think that's stupid. Yeah, if you're gonna like cut the show down, which this show desperately needed some matches trimmed. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but like there's at least 4 or 5 matches you could trim off the show easy that are like basically just quick squash matches that you can get rid of and like just have on television. So, or Saturday Night's Main Event or something. So yeah, it's just a showcase for Earthquake. I like Earthquake. One of my, I knew a couple of guys I worked with who were trained by John Tenta. He's a good guy. He's a good worker, but yeah, this doesn't need to be on the show.
Yeah, there's definitely a few ones, especially one coming out really soon. Actually,
Yeah.
like they can take it off. So what are your thoughts about Earthquake versus Hercules?
Well, the reason why this was on the show because of the programs that Earthquake was going into next, Jake the Snake Roberts, and then Hulk Hogan. That's why. But at the time, in hindsight, yes, I agree with you. In hindsight, this one could have been cut. But I mean, this was your stereotypical Earthquake match, and it shows how far Hercules at this time had fallen as well. Fun fact: how old do you think Earthquake was at this time?
Oh, he's younger than me at this time. Yeah,
He's 26. 26.
Oh my God, he looks 50.
And he died when he died, isn't it? Like 40s, 50s, right? 40s.
Yes,
so,
something like that. Hold on,
Yeah.
I'm actually on his Wikipedia. 42. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. It's a man that they people people's like appearance aged differently back then because yeah.
Slick was 33 on the show. He looks 50. I don't know why. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But Richie, what are your thoughts about Earthquake versus Hercules?
I mean, I've always been like I champion Earthquake a lot. I think he's great. Yeah, extremely athletic for a dude who's like what clean like 460 pounds. But yeah, they're incredibly fast. But yeah, but yeah, that's a squash match. I'm never been a huge fan of Hercules and think is that great. It's funny how he's like, oh, you know, they're like, oh yeah, he came out of this match. They just said something to the effect of, oh, he came out of this match unscathed, and yet he obviously got punched or something because he put a bloody ass lip. And just
Yeah.
no, yeah, really, no. So yeah, so there was obviously something like right there, and yeah, it was what it was. I didn't realize even going into it that like I thought because Hercules doesn't seem like a baby face to me. I'm like, oh wait, so okay, so oh yeah, Earthquake is the heel. All right, fair. But
Yeah, he was a babyface for a couple of years by this point, but this was like at the very tail end. Like not long after this, he'd formed Power and Glory with Paul Roma, and then the next WrestleMania, he got squashed by the Legion of Doom.
speaking of Paul Roma, by the way, the dark match on the show was Brooklyn Brawler versus Paul Roma.
Yeah.
God, imagine WrestleMania and that's your first match.
But moving on with this random segment of Rona Barrett interviewing Miss Elizabeth says she'll be back. I have no idea who Rona Barrett is. We find out later. I think she's a gossip.
She's like a gossip columnist, but I don't remember her at all. So we can move on.
It was more or less the 80s and 90s equivalent of a blogger.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it was kind of a pointless segment that didn't need to be on WrestleMania either. We had a backstage interview with Brutus Beefcake, who says to cut Mr. Perfect's record, and then which leading into the match of Brutus Beefcake defeating Mr. Perfect. Which once again, the match I thought it was decent. Like I didn't find anything bad about it, but it was like it wasn't overly entertaining either. But after the match, we had the genius trying to steal Brutus's clippers, but ends up getting his own haircut. But Austin, what do you think of Brutus Beefcake versus Mr. Perfect?
Mr. Perfect is awesome. Brutus Beefcake is boring, and the match was fine. And it was the first of several really bad finishes on this show that were like really, really bad. The fact of the finish of this was Brutus Beefcake catapulting Perfect and him just like hitting his head on the buckle, and then that was the pin. I was watching it and I went, wait, what? That's it. And like even the crowd was just like, huh? Like
80s in a nutshell.
There was some bad finishes on the show. We'll get to all the countouts. My God, the countouts were terrible on the show. But yeah, I like watching Mr. Perfect bump all over the place. Like he sells his ass off. He's great. He's very entertaining to watch. But Brutus, I don't get it. Like he never did anything for me. And I mean the match was fine, but I was happy when it was over.
So what are your thoughts about Beefcake versus Perfect?
This was a meh match, and the wrong guy won because this is Mr. Perfect's first televised loss in the WWF. And it was against Brutus Beefcake at WrestleMania.
And Richie,
no offense to Brutus.
Yeah. Richie, what are your thoughts about Brutus Beefcake versus Mr. Perfect?
I think that shows you that certain Hogan probably had some pull there. He was obviously best friends with Hogan, and then that did Brutus well. I would just say that served Brutus well in his career, being best friends with Hogan. The finish was out of nowhere, weird. Pinning, there's more upside. He should have won. It was also weird that so the post match lasted fucking forever. Like he's supposed to like he joked about he was teasing. Cutting the hair of Henning, and then he caught the genius who was out there for some reason.
Dude, Lanny looked like he did not legit want his haircut. He was running for his fucking life like three different
totally
times. Like I think that was on the fly, and he just had to like roll with it. And I don't think he wanted his haircut at all, at all. I don't know if that was
he called him, and then Lenny got away, and then he called him again. And then but then he put him in like a figure four or something. It was
sleeper. He put him in sleeper, and then he
finish.
Okay, that's it. He's not actually gonna. The crowd wants him to cut his hair. He's not gonna do it. And then it was like, all right. And then stalling for a bit, and then he just cuts his hair. I'm like, that took a lot longer than it should have done. that went for ages.
Well, that was Beefcake's gimmick. Like literally, that's how long they took.
that went way too long. Just cut his hair.
But then next up we have a match that doesn't exist anymore. Well, at least you own the DVD. But we had there was Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown, which ended in a double count out from after when I was looking at this up. It was edited. It's edited out of Netflix and the network because Roddy Piper was doing half blackface in there, which of course nowadays is not a good look at all. But it's edited out, so I don't know what happened. If anyone has anything to say about this match,
So this was just basically a slugfest. It wasn't anything special. But the best part is what happened after the match, because Arnold Skaaland and I think Andre the Giant pulled a prank on Piper and dumped out the solution that took this stuff off and replaced it with just water. And so he had to walk through the airport, fly home holding a giant ass teddy bear for his child, looking like this. So, yes, in hindsight, it is not good, but at least it got him at the time.
Yeah.
I have heard him say that story in a few different places.
But yeah. But then next up, we had a short segment of Steve Allen trying to sing the Bolsheviks national anthem.
This was weird. This was fucking weird.
Right?
Yeah, he's playing piano in the fucking showers. Like, what are we doing?
But he's in the
1990, the biggest celebrity you can. 1990, the biggest celebrity you can bring is Steve Allen, who hadn't been relevant by that point for like 20 years.
Dude, he was, if anybody doesn't know, Steve Allen was the Tonight Show host before Johnny Carson. And Johnny Carson took over in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I should tell you how long ago he was relevant. This is odd.
Yeah.
The whole I guess the whole joke was they wanted him to play the Soviet national anthem and he kept playing other songs. And and then they weren't fun. And then it was, I don't know why, why they needed him to play it when they could have just gone, they were going to play it, potentially sing it in the ring anyway. I don't know. It was all weird. Why was in the shower? I don't know. This didn't make sense.
Yeah.
That was WWE at the time. They had all these weird skits during their pay-per-views.
Which leads into the match of the Hart Foundation defeating the Bolsheviks in about 19 seconds. Because the Bolsheviks just sung the national anthem, and then the Hart Foundation jumped them and
hit the heart attack, and 1, 2, 3. We can move on. The next match was the Barbarian.
Basically.
I mean, what's there to say about it? They jumped him, hit the heart attack, and won. That was it.
They treated like geeks. But I would like. No, isn't Volkov's another guy that always looked old? Like, I don't know how old he was here, but I'm pretty sure he probably was younger than I think too. But he's just like just has an old face.
Boris Zukov would have been 31.
Oh my
God! That's not a old face.
Yeah.
But just quickly, just a quick side note.
Nikolai Volkov was only 4 years older than I am right now. There's no fucking way.
Right?
Guys looked old back then. He looks 65.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being stunned that Tommaso Ciampa is the same age as me when he had the long beard. Now that it's cut down and he was like, oh, no, I can see it now. But funny side note is, like, throughout this pay-per-view, I mentioned that WrestleMania 7 is going to be at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which ends up not happening there for some reason. I tried to look it up, find out the reasoning. Apparently it's like security reasons. There's a lot of weird things. It's apparently
so there's two official. There's two official. One is they were worried about people sniping Sergeant Slaughter, and the other was they couldn't sell enough tickets.
Yeah.
So those are like the two ones that are like canon.
But moving on, we at the backstage interview of Tito Santana saying he'll have to keep an eye on Bobby Heenan, and which leads into the Barbarian defeating Tito Santana, which once again I thought the match was fine, but it just wasn't overly exciting. But Also, what do you think about the Barbarian versus Tito Santana?
It felt like they were trying to do a 10-minute match in 5 minutes. Is what it felt like, and that's what they did. they ran a 10-minute match very, very quickly. Hit all their spots. Blah blah blah. Barbarian damn near took his head off with the second rope clothesline and won. Jesus Christ, It looked like he killed him. But yeah, I mean, the match was fine. I like Tito, but yeah, he needs to be in there with better people than Barbarian to have a better match.
But Soda, what were your thoughts about the Barbarian versus Tito Santana?
I mean, it is what it is. Like this was more of like a dark match, in my opinion. And really, the only reason this is here is because Tito was in the first 8 WrestleManias. He's one of the few to claim that. That's really the only reason this is on here.
Richie, what do you think about the Barbarian versus Tito Santana?
Yeah, it's just one of those matches. Yeah, like again, I don't know. Like, yeah, it hurts WrestleMania when you have all these short matches against the talented dudes. I've been a defender of Barbarian, but I'm more as a tag team. I love the Faces of Fear. I mean, the tag team rules, but as a singles dude, and it's like and then this and Tito looked great, but yeah, the clothes look cool, but I'm like but again, it's like maybe WrestleMania wasn't WrestleMania didn't. Like, they clearly want WrestleMania to be this huge thing, obviously, and the crowds reflected that, but like it doesn't reflect it in the matches necessarily because it's like it just feels like an early episode. A lot of the matches feel like an early episodes of Raw when they just have wrestler versus the guy who's going to lose in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what wrestling early pay-per-views were. If you look at all of the WrestleManias up until this point, except for 4 because of the tournament, that's basically what they all were. That's how wrestling cards were done. It wasn't really until like the mid 90s, probably the Attitude Era, where all the matches really had a point.
Yeah,
I thought they started getting it by like 94, 95 because the match.
Okay, maybe a little earlier than I thought.
The match cards were like 7 matches, and most of them had importance and gave them some time. So
whereas this is just like this is a wrestling card. Let's throw these people up there. Fans like to see them. Yada yada. That's all it was.
But next I read an interview with Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire, which I thought was just a standard Dusty promo, honestly.
You're trying to understand what you said. It's a Dusty promo. He says words, and you're entertained because it's Dusty, and I repeated both of them. I think they're both.
Yeah. But then we leading into the match of Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire defeating Randy Savage and Queen Sherry. And at the start of the match, like Dusty Rhodes brought out Miss Elizabeth to sort of help him out and do mind games to Randy Savage. One thing I did notice is like Sapphire looked really green. I don't know if she's ever like.
She was not a trained wrestler.
She's just a fan of Dusty, who Dusty liked.
She had a little bit of history of the business, but it wasn't as a wrestler. It was mostly behind the scenes stuff.
She was the first version of Shelton Benjamin's mama.
So. Basically. Apparently the sweetest lady, though.
Yeah.
But look, this is one of those ones where I wish it was kind of like a one-on-one between Dusty and Randy.
My God,
a lot of people think that. Yeah. And nothing against Sherry, because she was a good wrestler in her own right, but it should have been a one-on-one.
Yeah. And a lot of the crowd seemed to be really into it too.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they were invested in everything back then, and Macho Man and Dusty Rhodes was one of the bigger storylines of the time.
Yeah, but Austin, what do you think of Dusty and Sapphire versus Randy?
Yeah, if you wanted to have the ladies out there, that's fine. Everybody backing up everybody, that would have been totally fine. But yeah, this would have been much better if it was just Macho Man versus Dusty, like one-on-one for 10 minutes. That's what I would have liked to have seen. Give credit to, again, I guess the Sapphire chick, man, when she won, she got a bigger pop than like half the people on this damn show. Like the crowd went ballistic and bonkers. But like Elizabeth Elizabeth was over. There were some fun moments here and there. They mentioned that historically this was like the first mixed tag match in like WWF history, so that's at least
On camera,
of
yeah,
note. Yeah, that's of note. So, that's something. But yeah, I would have preferred it to be like just Macho Man versus Dusty with the ladies, doing some spots on the outside or whatever. So that'd have been fine. But it was all right. It was fairly entertaining for what it was.
Soda, what did you think of Dusty?
As a fan of the times and somebody who was aware of the storyline going into this, I love this match. Yes, Sapphire was green. Yes, I do agree. It should have been 1-on-1. But for what we got, I found it highly enjoyable. This was a lot of fun. It brings back a lot of memories for sure.
And Richie, what do you think about Dusty and Sapphire versus Randy and Sherry?
Yeah, I'm sort of with the sentiment here that should, 1-on-1 that screams WrestleMania 1-on-1 match between Dusty and Savage here. But yeah, I understand, like, okay, primarily Sapphire's quite over, so you want to, if you want to, yeah, it just, I don't know. I know like Dusty is sort of a comedy gimmick. We talked about it in yes. At SummerSlam 1989, he's basically Vince basically turned him into like a kind of Adrian Street. he's gay without them saying he's gay. He's like, it's really weird.
But as much as he tried to kill Dusty, they couldn't kill him. He still got reactions. He tried to kill him. Sunday. He's still Dusty.
Yeah. But yeah. So no. But yeah. So it was cool, but yeah, you still, yeah, but and yeah, I think, but yeah, Dusty and Randy Savage would have been great, but yeah, I guess I understand at the time why they included the ladies, but yeah, they could have achieved their story, especially with the Miss Elizabeth tension with them just on the outside. So, but it was what it was.
Yeah, and then but the next up we had a big backstage segment dump here with like 6 segments in a row.
This was the intermission at the show. That's why you got all these segments.
Oh yeah. I'd say, but it was still kind of like I kind of wish they found something more interesting. Like it was basically like Mean Gene talking to Bobby Heenan, who complains about Andre taking orders. Gorilla and Jesse talking to Rona Barrett, who apparently Rona had some dirt on Jesse, which she would never divulge at all. We had Shawn Mooney talking to Randy Savage and Queen Sherry, who Savage says he'll never be embarrassed again, while Sherry just ran around screaming the whole time. Mean Gene talking to Demolition, who mentions that Hart Foundation are next for the titles. Then we had Mean Gene talking to Hulk Hogan, which was like a pretty standard Hulk Hogan. It shows off sort of why he was really good on the mic and that. And then Shawn Mooney was talking to Ultimate Warrior, who does a promo say about stopping Hulkamania there.
He turned around in circles and kept not facing the camera and just yelling in the room. It was.
I lived for this shit when I was a child.
He did an Ultimate Warrior promo where he just says words, and they mean something to him, and that's cool. But the energy is what you go for. It's like, all right, fair enough.
But going into the next match, we had the Orient Express, which was Saito and Pat Tanaka defeating the Rockers, which was Martin and some guy called Michael, who I think goes on maybe.
I don't think he went anywhere. He was just like a mid-card guy for the rest of his life.
But look, honestly, I think this was the first like pretty good match. Honestly, like I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like it had a decent amount of time. And was this Shawn's first WrestleMania, or was this like his second?
Who?
Shawn
Michaels.
Yeah. His first was 5.
Yeah.
They faced the Twin Towers, Akeem and Big Boss Man, and got squashed.
They
got flattened.
Akeem and Big Boss Man have a match on this card.
But But Austin, what did you think about the Iron Express versus the Rockers?
This match was on its way to being like a legit show-stealing, awesome match. And then they had a shitty count out and one of like shitty count outs on this match just out of nowhere. I don't know why somebody couldn't just beat somebody on this show. Like, why can't the Rockers just beat the Orient Express? Like, I don't understand why they can't just get back in the ring and just have a finish. It baffles me. Like, just the crummy finishes, because there's a couple on like coming up in the next few matches. But like, this match was really fun. Like, while it was going on, yeah, they were doing all kinds of fun double teams. Like, everybody was bumping their asses off. Like, everybody was hitting like really crisp, solid moves. Like, it was fast paced. It was good. And then ding, 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 count out and the crap, and the crowd went, "What? Fuck you." So that's what happened.
But so do all your thoughts about the Iron Express.
Yeah, I echo Austin's sentiment. This was a really entertaining match until the finish. Sometimes you forget that the Rockers were a great tag team and they should have been tag champs. It's unfortunate. What happened. But yeah, no, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty always had a lot of chemistry with these Oriental tag teams that WWE had at this time. There was a match at, I believe it's Rumble 91, with them against another version of the Orient Express, maybe. I can't remember, but that one is a banger that should be checked out as well. But yeah, no, the Rockers should get more love than they do, in my opinion.
And Richie, what are your thoughts about the Iron Express defeating the Rockers?
Yeah, so technically Rockers did win the tag titles, but like it was like it was clunky or something, and then Vince was like,
the top rope broke.
And that was like they would cloud your victory or whatever. So let's just not acknowledge it or whatever. But yeah, this match is better. Yeah, it was way better. I was like, yeah, cool. We're on to something, and then count out. I hate count out. Shouldn't really happen. Shouldn't happen on pay-per-view, let alone Wrestlemania. And we got a couple of them, which is fucking annoying. But yeah, I mean, you know, like both these teams, it is when you know we're in that era where they can't say Japan or you can't say Asia, so we're in the Orient. But that would last for a while too.
Well, it's because it was foreign and it was spooky, and it played into the thoughts of the time.
They did that for a while in WCW. It was like,
oh yeah,
the Orient, and everybody, every Asian wrestler had their same music.
Well, I will say that their theme song, I've always enjoyed the Orient Express / Bull Nakano's theme song.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is fun until the stupid finish where they probably hadn't really thought about it until they went out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones that I will say very quickly. I don't mind count outs too much as long as they're spaced out. We'll get to it in a short while. It was literally 2 matches later where they had another one.
I did quickly look it up, and it is Royal Rumble 91. Go check if you can't. Go check that match out. It is the Rockers versus the Orient Express again, but with one member that's different. It is one of the best underrated matches you'll ever see.
But then moving on, we had Steve Allen talking to Rhythm and Blues, the Hong Kong man, and Greg Valentine, who say they'll be bigger than MJ, Rolling Stones, and a Beatles reunion.
Yeah. And with who driving the car?
DDP.
Damn right.
I had that in the notes. I was getting to it when we got.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
But we had but next up we had Jim Duggan defeating Dino Bravo, which they randomly cut to a shot of Earthquake's butt as he got into the ring. It's like some of these camera switches really awkward. I think there was one match early on where they just randomly took a shot to the back, down the ramp or something. It's like making you think something is going to happen. And it was also at this point where I was starting to get really annoyed with the commentators because according to Gorilla Monsoon, you can't have a manager's license and be an active wrestler. It's all
right.
The match itself wasn't that great, and and after the match, Earthquake attacked Jim Duggan, and yeah, Also, what are your thoughts about Jim Duggan versus Dino Bravo?
Hacksaw got booed because he was waving an American flag all over Canada. Dino Bravo sucks. He's always been terrible. At least it was short. I still like Earthquake. And Jesse Ventura rightly scolded Hacksaw, the babyface, for cheating to win. So there you go.
Mhm. Soda, what are your thoughts about Jim
The
Duggan
only
versus
reason this match was on the card is because Dino Bravo is French Canadian and he had a following in Canada. That's the only reason.
Yeah. And Richie, what are your thoughts about Jim Duggan versus Dino Bravo?
It's almost like Hacksaw Jim Duggan should just, should see the future and just got his Team Canada gimmick and just put that here, and he would have got it. He would have been.
Oh,
But yeah, and Dino Bravo was just a body guy. He was a powerlifting dude, and I just like the look of him, but he can never really wrestle.
Yeah.
And he caused a lot of issues because he had, if you watch his step side of the ring, he had mafia ties. That's what led to his demise. Again, Jesse Ventura with the logic. There was a couple of times where he made Gorilla Monsoon look silly in this show too. I don't know what match it was, but it was just like, oh, he's doing a 360 or something around here. He's like, no, he'd be doing 180, 360. 360, he'd be run the same way he just was. He's like, he just he is. I don't know. I love Jesse, but he definitely. But while being a heel, he's also just right. And it's a very frustrating heel, but good heel when you're like, technically correct.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because I think when Steve Allen joins him for the main event, like I think he says like, it actually was legal because it was Canadian pine, so it's fine. But next up we had like Mean Gene talking to Jake Roberts who does act like I even though like it is like one of those promos where it's like he's just talking really loudly. I do think it was a really good promo. And
he's the one guy who cuts promos at that time that wasn't yelling and screaming into the camera.
Yeah.
That's why he was good.
Made you get his attention. Made you earn his attention.
It's one of the best promos in wrestling.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I've channeled him a few times for acting roles.
Then leading into the match of Ted DiBiase defeating Jake Roberts for the $1 Million Championship by countout. And the match, and unlike the previous countout, the match itself was really slow. It was like I kind of wasn't getting into it so much. Like I'll give Jake Roberts some credit; he was trying, but it just wasn't working. Whatever reason. Then afterwards, Jake hits a DDT after the match where I think one of the commentators says it's too late for that now. But
that would be Jesse, and that was correct.
Yeah, but also what you about.
So here's the story of this match. I actually thought they were having a really good match. If psychology-wise, I thought they were really working hard. They told a good story where Jake was trying to hit the snap DDT like over and over again. Like they were doing good. The crowd was tired. The crowd was ready for the main event. They didn't give a shit. They were doing the wave during this match, which means they are just trying to amuse themselves. Because let's be realistic, they were 12 matches into the show, and we still hadn't gotten to Hogan and Warrior yet, so they're like ready for the main event. I think they actually got into the match somewhat near the end, and they were ready to pop for Jake, like hitting DiBiase with the DDT and like for him to take the belt. That would have gotten a really good pop, and you crapped all over it with another stupid count out. So you killed any momentum you had and a chance to have another really good moment on the show. So congratulations, whoever booked this match. You couldn't just have Jake Roberts win at WrestleMania and beat Ted DiBiase, just send the crowd home happy. Why? You guys are idiots. Whoever booked this match was an idiot.
Jake wasn't the right person to win the title, I guess. I don't know.
The fake title, his fake belt, who cares? He can win the fake belt.
Spoilers, it was Virgil that ended up dethroning him.
And then you can have Ted get it back and beat him up and just take it back. Like, who cares? Just have him win it. It's dumb.
Yeah, but it'll be just like Zack Ryder defending his internet championship at a Mania.
Yeah,
which I don't. Soda, what are your thoughts about Ted DiBiase versus Jake Roberts?
I agree with Austin. When it comes to psychology, this is a good match. These were two of the best when it came to that. I do think it was an entertaining match because, again, this is just what they did at the time, especially with the $1 Million Championship, because they just didn't want him to lose it at this point, I guess. So, if you can get past that, it's a good match. If not, I understand why people think it would be disappointing.
And Richie, what are your thoughts about Ted DiBiase versus Jake Roberts?
Yeah, I enjoyed the psychology of the match. I think that's why I like Jake Roberts matches. But yeah, just I had to do another stupid count out because again, I think it was for the same booker who probably booked either the tag match, just couldn't like I can't figure a finish, count out. Just it was like a get out of jail.
I've got a finish for you. DDT, middle of the ring. He pins Ted DiBiase. Crowd explodes, and he runs away with the belt. There's your finish. It's not that difficult at WrestleMania.
Instead, you make Jake look like a bit of a heel that DTing out the match, and Jesse was right, but going, well, too late now. He's 100% correct. Like it's cool he got the DDT, but it doesn't mean anything. So yeah, that was it's like watching a TNA show like back in like 2009, 10-ish, where it's like the matches are great and then the finishes are shit.
Yeah, but yeah, and no, it was one of those ones where so like Ted DiBiase just sort of hanging out after the match because obviously like he he has issues with Big Boss Man, which this is the next match anyway. But we catch an interview with Akeem and his manager, Slick, talking about his match, which was, I think it was a standard like just Slick talking to Akeem is like, but then going into
the match, I enjoyed Akeem just silently, just kind of swaying and dancing during the promo. It made me laugh. Just kind of laughing to nothing. It made me laugh a lot.
To hear the one-man gang, the guy behind him, talk about his time as Akeem is fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
because he's like, I don't know how to dance.
But then we had Big Boss Man versus defeating Akeem.
Pass. All right. Anyways, then Rick Rude.
Yeah, this was like, okay, let's end this feud. We're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even think Akeem was like done after this.
Well, why was it a minute and a half? It was like it was.
Bossman hit the button. Bossman slam. He wins. Anyways.
Yeah. I think this was never mind. I thought it was his last match in the company, but it wasn't.
But then next up we had Sean Mooney talking to people in the crowd about rhythm and blues, which a lot of people seem to not really know much about them. One of them was Mary Tyler Moore, of people.
They showed him in the crowd earlier.
Yeah. But then we had Rhythm and Blues coming out to sing their new song with DDP driving the ring. Apparently, Sherry was Piggy in there as well as Piggy Sue. I don't know if she was in the car there, but apparently she did have a time with a blonde wig on being Honky Tonk Man's valet at one point.
She wasn't for this one, but she was,
Yeah. But yeah, the performance was terrible. And Bush Wreckers come out to save us and then destroy their cars. But yeah, but it's funny because I actually did just find a clip of DDP actually talking about his time driving Rhythm Blues to the matches. He said he was really excited to do it just for a chance to be at WrestleMania and all that. So, talking about how happy he was to actually do that. Which I thought was great.
it's a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah. But then next up we had Rick Rude defeating Jimmy Snuka, which once again it was a prickish match, but it wasn't terrible. But Austin, what are your thoughts about Rick Rude versus Jimmy Snuka?
This was very similar to the Tito Santana match. They had a 10-minute match in about 4 minutes, and they it seems like they got their time cut because it was like, okay, we got to get to this main event. Like this crowd, like we're losing them, and it's too much. So it seems like they were like, all right, go out, just get your spots in, boom, 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 Rude Awakening, done. You know what I mean? Like, if you had given these guys, like, again, cut some of these squash matches, and you could have given these guys at least 10 minutes to work like a decent match. Get rid of some of these squashes, but it just felt like they got their time cut, so it was just fine.
I mean, you could have cut the whole Rhythm of the Lose song.
100% too. Yeah, that could have been on Saturday Night's Main Event. Yeah.
So
for the era, it was fine, but in reality, Rick Rude deserved better. Like, he deserved better for most of his time in the WWF, in my opinion, but definitely deserved better with this one.
Richie, what are your thoughts about Rick Rude versus Jimmy Snuka?
If you want to see a better Rick Rude match, check out Lonely Match. We reviewed his match with Ultimate Warrior at SummerSlam 1989. That match ruled.
That match was awesome.
Oh yeah, his matches with Warrior were good.
Dude, Rude and Warrior at SummerSlam 89 he hits a Tiger Driver in that match. Go back and watch it. It's awesome.
Also, the underrated one the next year, the cage match for the title.
Yeah. So this was like, I don't know, man. Like, again, you're putting too many things on the card, and then you're not giving enough minutes to people who some of your better workers on the show that could actually put on a banger match. So it's just like, I don't know, the layout of this, the whole layout of this WrestleMania leaves lots to be desired. So this match, while it wasn't bad, it could have been a lot better.
With that, we move into the main event, which was the Ultimate Warrior defeating Hulk Hogan for the championship, and I honestly really enjoyed the match. I thought it was a lot of fun watching it. Well, yeah, like it was on the slow side, but it was still entertaining slow and they were given plenty of time to. It was like this match was like 5 times as long as.
It was 21 minutes.
Yeah, 22 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, and it's like, and then like ending with like Hulk Hogan like giving the championship to Warrior and all that. But I think it was just a really good story, Austin, what are your thoughts about Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan?
No, this match is awesome, and the reason for it is because of the atmosphere of the match, because of the build-up, because of the stars involved. That these are two guys at their kind of their peak of their powers here. It truly was a meeting of like the old guard and the new guard. It was Hulkamania, which had been going on for a couple of years. So the crowd is split. Some of them are with him, some of them are with the new hot, the Warrior. Like it seems like kind of the guys maybe were with the Warrior, the kids are with Hogan, but it made for a good atmosphere, like kind of a 50-50 split. So they're super into everything, even when they're doing test of strengths and bear hugs. Like the crowd's just popping for everything. Hogan was always good at being Hogan. He knew how to work the crowd and make every spot count, and Warrior knew how to bring the energy and keep the fire. So like, give him credit where credit's due. Like when he did have good matches with these guys like Rude or Hogan or whoever, like he was able to kind of accentuate his positives. But yeah, the final stuff is great, like the whole finishing sequence where it's like the Gorilla Press Slam, and then like Hogan fires up, and then like he hulks out, and Big Brute misses the leg drop, Warrior hits the big splash, 1 2 3. Like it's a great finishing sequence. They got the crowd like really like lava hot and crazy, and it's a good good stuff that comes out of nowhere. Kudos to Hebner, took a good bump as a ref. I always appreciate a ref bump. He got like pounced into the ropes and then took like a really nasty bump. It was pretty good. But yeah, these guys knew how to work the crowd. It was a roller coaster ride of a match. Like you probably at the time didn't know who was going to win, because obviously both guys are at their peaks. So kudos to Hogan for putting over Warrior in this match. And he did his thing, and it didn't hurt Hogan at all. He's still Hogan, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a great again, a sports entertainment main event. You know what I mean? Is this Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega? No, and it's not supposed to be, nor does it need to be. This is just a great,
It's a story.
two professional wrestlers having a professional wrestling match, and a spectacle, and it really works, and it's a great main event.
And so, what are your thoughts about Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan?
I mean, this match, 35 years later, I should say, sorry, still holds up. It is a classic for a reason. Like, I was just thinking about this is kind of like Rock Austin before Rock Austin when it comes to like the two top guys facing each other. I remember as a kid seeing pictures of this all over the place. In magazines and like, oh my God, I tried for years to track down this videotape and finally got it when I was in my late teens. Like this was a hunt to find this WrestleMania because I had to see this match and it lived up to the expectation and it still lives up to the expectation now.
Mm-hmm.
And Richie, what are your thoughts about Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan?
Yeah. This was a really well worked match, playing to both guys' strengths. Just two kind of larger than life, like almost like comic book characters, just being just very of the time. Yeah, like I'm always glad when I see a good Ultimate Warrior match. Especially, I was really shocked when it was the Rick Rude match. I'm like, oh, dude, like when he's motivated, he can work. Yeah, like this. Yeah, it was just really well done. Really played to the strengths. The finish was great. I know there's other people that get pissed because like technically Hogan kicks out at 3, but he's still won. At least he put him over. He still put him over. It's still an iconic sort of moment, and like it was still it sent the crowd like into like a huge like ruckus, and the crowd being split. Those you don't even see that much at this time, especially around like Hulkamania. Like the crowd being split for Hogan was unheard of. Especially one of the people who was and that was sort of going against Hogan in the crowd, and was Edge. He was in the crowd. He talks about this that he was there.
I think Test was as well. There was a few people that were in this crowd.
Yeah. But this match was really good, and really well worked. If this match had gotten the same amount of time, and then you cut off if you shaved off, you edited some of the matches out, and gave more time to Rick Rude and Jimmy Snuka, this could actually be this whole show would probably get bit better sort of marks from me. But I think this match saves it from being completely done.
To Austin's point about like Hogan lost and it didn't hurt him, this is generally regarded as where Hulk Hogan took that next step in his wrestling career. Like from here on out, because of Gorilla Monsoon's famous line of taking a giant step into mortality, he was forever known as the Immortal Hulk Hogan after this. So this is when he like went to the next stratosphere.
And it's one of those ones like with just being sort of new to wrestling, like I've not seen a lot of Hulk Hogan matches, and I'll probably get to a lot of them as I continue doing this. And he's always been one of those fascinating people. Every time he'd make an appearance, like I'll always remember when he made the Silver Dome mistake at opening up one of the later WrestleManias, and then like he does have a complicated legacy now, but the character itself is always going to be great and fun to watch, and that's always going to be there. But also, have any sort of final thoughts about Hulk Hogan himself?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, if you want to go back and see like sort of the rise of Hulkamania, to go back and watch a lot of those Saturday Night's main events he had. A lot of those are really good from like 86 to 88. They're really good matches, and Hogan's working his ass off in a lot of those matches. That was before he kind of trimmed it back a little bit, just to, and took a few less bumps here and there, just because it was taking a toll on his body. But he had great, like, good matches with Boss Man, like Bad News Brown, like some good stuff like in there, like in those Saturday Night's main event matches. So you can go back and see a few of those.
So they just dropped the Boss Man one 3 days ago on the WWE Vault YouTube channel.
Yeah, there's a cage match is really good. Yeah, some other stuff. So, yeah, go back and watch, like, especially a lot of stuff in the '80s. And then, yeah, obviously his work rate, was a little less kind of into the '90s into WCW, but he was still that personality. And I've always said he was really good at being Hulk Hogan. He really was. He's very good at just, if you watch the way he works a crowd and works his facial expressions and the selling, like, he was always really good at that. And anybody, you can't doubt the impact he had on the business. Like, the business would not be as big as it is today if it wasn't for Hogan. He made it, larger than life, taking it into pop culture, more than anything. So, and yeah, he inspired a lot of people to become professional wrestlers. There's a lot of professional wrestlers who were little Hulkamaniacs back in the day. Go ask them. So, yeah, no, as for WrestleMania itself, very mediocre, undercard. Yeah, tweak a few things, trim some fat off this card, trim some squash matches, give some a little more time to some of the really good workers on the show, and you could have a really solid Mania. But at least it had a great spectacle main event.
Yeah, I think I made the joke. I can't remember who I made the joke to, but I think I made the joke to someone about this on the stream. It was like, this is pretty equivalent to an AEW show now, where there's got a lot of matches.
At least we can go 7 hours. That was
Yeah.
So any final words on sort of Hulk Hogan himself?
So yeah, as someone who, this is my favorite era of wrestling, this is one of my favorite WrestleManias. Again, not just because it's in Canada. And everything I said about Hogan here is 100% true. This is the match that sent him into the stratosphere, and he forever became known as the Immortal Hulk Hogan after this. So everyone should go out and watch this match if they haven't. And yeah, to Austin's point, definitely go back and watch Hogan's matches. Yes, he wasn't the greatest technician. However, go watch his New Japan stuff. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mentioned that. So.
Right, yeah. But yeah, no, go watch his stuff from the 80s, because they were giving him the right heels to work with. And right now in WWE Evolved, they're dropping Hogan matches. And like one of them they dropped was his title match against the Iron Sheik. And I just rewatched it, and you know what? Yeah, by today's standard, it's not the best match. But when you watch it, though, you can understand why it was an important moment in wrestling history. And Hogan is not just part of Mount Rushmore. He's the mountain that Mount Rushmore was built on.
And Richie, any final words on sort of Hulk Hogan himself?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, he's a legend. I don't think wrestling wouldn't be the same without him and his contribution. I think he was just just an enigma, just with his charisma and his how just larger than life he was. And yeah, he'd have good matches. And yeah, I think it was also like if you had the right if you had the right booker who got Hulk Hogan, and they could work together with it, like even like Smoke and Mirrors, they could have great matches. Like that Hogan Vince match at WrestleMania 19 has no business being as good as it is. That match is good. I like that match a lot. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I can tell what you will about the guy, but the character was just I don't think there'll never be a character like him again that just catches that just caught the imagination and caught like the just gelled with people the world over, and just became this pop culture sort of icon. So so yeah, like it's just it's a huge loss, because he's one of the generally the biggest star in wrestling history.
Austin, what would you rate WrestleMania 6 out of 5 stars?
2. Look, and the 2 is for the main event. There you
go. So what would you rate WrestleMania 6 out of 5 stars?
You're muted.
Yeah. I give it a 4 out of 5 because I'm a fan of this era, like I've said multiple times, but I do agree at 2025 eyes, some matches could have been trimmed.
Richie, what would you rate WrestleMania 6 out of 5 stars?
Yeah, I'm sort of in Austin's camp. I'll go 2, and that's for the main event, and then a couple of things on the card that will entertain here and there, but like that you could see could have been fleshed out to really good matches, but weren't. But yeah, so I'll give it 2. It wasn't bit of a disappointing Mania up to that main event, but yeah, the main event.
The main event is a 5. I'll give you that. The main
event saved the show. If it wasn't
Yes.
for the main event, this would be like it'd be pretty low on my WrestleMania tier ranking. But like this was so I'll go 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same camp. I'm also going to give it a 2 for pretty much the same reasons as everyone else. Like there was entertainment bits here and there, but ultimately it was the main event that kind of saved it for me. It's just pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of times, especially when you're writing notes, when watching a pay-per-view, I turned around to write a note, looked up, was like, oh, the match is finished. Okay. But yeah, but that is the end of Special Pass this week. Next week we will actually get around to talking about Backlash 2017. But awesome, we can be find you online.
Yeah, mostly over on the Movie Hero Network. You can find us. We've got a Facebook group for the Movie Hero Network and a YouTube channel where I host or co-host a lot of stuff on there. Me and Richie have a show on there called Wheel of Movies. We'll be doing Prisoners this week, the Denis Villeneuve film, and then whatever else comes up on the wheel. And you can see me and Richie and JPO and Jacob Barber every week, Thursday night at 10 p.m. We have our own channel called the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast where you can see us talk more wrestling. We just talked about SummerSlam 89, which ironically we had just already spun, and then talked about Hulk Hogan, so he just happened to be, in the main event. So we got to talk about him there. But obviously, we'll be talking a lot of SummerSlam stuff, predictions, and reviews the following week. So follow us over there. Thanks.
So do we can people find you online?
Usually just on my Twitter account, soda_the_saxman, usually yelling at trolls. Yeah. It's usually what I'm up to nowadays. Lets me get my anger out.
Yeah. And Richie, we can people find you online.
It's so fun. Wheel Movies, talking Prisoners. Lonely Marks, talking SummerSlam, and it'll be the last show in our for our fantasy draft for WWE before we switch over to AEW. So that'll be interesting. Gonna have to pick selectively there. Tony Khan filters people in and out. You don't know who's going to be a consistent person on the show or not. So it's going to be. I'm going to have to be a bit more particular with my picks. And then it's got a match coming out with Eric Moreno and on fandom. Then that tier ranker tournament fights. And then I gotta go, but that's my door. I'll talk to you soon.
And you can find me on Tape Free Productions hosting Rankum every Sunday night. This week or next week is going to be on Monday though because of SummerSlam, but next week's topic is going to be in top 12 animated movies of the 2020s to now. You can find me on Spear from the Past. Next time we'll be talking about Backlash 2017. And I'll pop up here and there. I'll be on the Movie Network this week for Wolfield versus Seth Rogen. And with that is the end of Spear from the Past this week. And I'm just going to go out playing this.